and grow, right? So, yeah, thank you, everyone. Before we get started, I have a couple of questions just to understand the audience. So, let me ask them. Um, how many of you are actually sick of doing the same redundant tasks every day? Type in me in the chat box. Nice. So I'm seeing on this side where I have another screen, where the chat is open. Okay, cool. So many. Great. Um, who here struggles with managing and organizing daily tasks efficiently?
Lots
Okay.
of them.
Nice. So this session will be very, very relevant, right? And it's very easy. You will be able to follow if you do not miss anything, right? It's very, very simple. Just do not do anything else. Keep your mobiles aside, keep everything else aside. Like Pani mentioned, be active on Zoom. Just follow along. I'll answer all of your questions and we'll go slowly so that you can catch everything that we're doing. Yeah. Um, okay. So before we get started, I would like to tell what are the things that we are going to cover in this 2.5 hours of session, right? Firstly, we will cover identifying areas of automation. Okay. What can be automated? Second, concepts of automation. Okay. Third thing is we will cover what are the tools that can be used for automation. And fourth, we will get into hands-on experience with two very simple examples so that you can understand how automation works without writing a single line of code. Yeah. All good, everyone, so far? Okay. So before I begin, just a very quick background about myself. I am not from software background, right? So I can understand all of you who are not from coding background and have never done software and so on and so forth. Do not worry. I am also not from software background. I'm an electrical engineer by education. I was an automotive engineer by profession and a software engineer by passion. And all of that was possible because of no code platforms, right? And no code along with AI can change the entire game for us. Yeah, so that's a very quick short intro about myself. I've been in software, or rather, I've been doing software automation for close to 15 years. And 5, 6 years back, I started my own agency. We are into custom software solutions and software automations. And about 5 months back, I started doing YouTube videos to teach non-tech people on how to use tech. Yeah. And because I come from non-tech background, I understand what are the thoughts uh, from people who are not from non-tech when it comes to tech. So the teaching is in similar way. So are you all ready to get started? I'll share my screen.
Folks, I hope all of you are able to hear Ritesh well and see him well. Great, great. Yes, Ritesh, you can share your screen and we can get started.
Yes. I'm sharing my screen. Yeah. Can you see my screen, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, great. So firstly, let's understand what is automation. How many of you think that you have used automation before? Or rather, let me, yeah, I did. Okay. A few are saying no. Okay. Knowingly or unknowingly, all of us have used automation, right? Just that we have not realized that it's automation because the devices that we are using has enabled us to create this automation without our understanding, right? For example, alarm in our mobile phones, right? What happens when the clock hits 6 o'clock? Okay, if we have set the clock alarm at 6 o'clock, as soon as the clock hits 6 o'clock, alarm rings. Okay, and that is kind of automation that is already enabled into our mobile devices. Okay, you have very simple automations like sorting your emails into different labels, right? You can set rules. Now, we don't consider this to be automations because we use them daily. So we think that these are not automations. Automation is something else, right? That is not true. Anything that has a logic which can be automated where we don't have to do it manually is automation, right? So in simple terms, automation is if this happens, then do that. If we can have this particular statement, right, into our daily work, then that is automation. So today we are going to look at very simple examples, okay, which will help us understand what is automation and how it needs to be done. Okay. Now, in this particular statement, right, if this happens, then do that. Okay. This particular part is called trigger. Okay. And this is called action. What that means is what triggers an automation. In case of an alarm clock, okay, it is the time. So when the time hits 6 o'clock, that's when action, okay, that is alarm ringing, will take place. Okay. So any automation is based on two things, which is trigger and action. Okay. Trigger is what sets the automation. And action is what needs to be done when the trigger is triggered. Is this clear, everyone? Yep. Another example. If we are getting a acknowledgement email when we fill a form, right? Filling the form and clicking on that submit button, that is the trigger. And the email going out to that particular user who filled the form, that is an action. Okay. There could be multiple actions for one trigger, but there needs to be a trigger for any actions to take place when it comes to automation. Yeah. I hope the speed at which I'm explaining is good for everybody. Okay, great. Now, can we automate everything? Or should we automate everything? Not really, right? So for automation, there needs to be a logic involved. Okay. So if I have to do something, and if I want to automate that, then I need to tell when it needs to be done. Right? For example, I cannot tell the mobile that ring the alarm whenever you want. Right? I have to tell, okay, I want alarm to be set at 6 o'clock. Likewise, for the acknowledgement email that we send, okay, for the form filling, we cannot tell that, okay, you send an email whenever you want, right? We set the rules where we say once the user has filled in the form and clicked on submit, that's when we send an email. And we can also set whether the email needs to go out after 5 minutes, after 10 minutes, or immediately, right? Accordingly, the system will act. So there is a logic to it. Okay. Emotional based, we cannot automate. Yeah. Logic based, we can automate. Yeah. So we have 7-step process, okay, which will help you understand how you can automate your day-to-day activities. Okay. So we will go through all of these 7 steps, understand how you can implement automation in your day-to-day activities. Okay. I'll quickly walk you through the 7 steps and then we will go each step one at a time. Okay. The first step is capture your workflow, where you're basically writing down what is the flow that you are using as of today. Right. So if an inquiry comes to you, let's say you're a business and you have a form on your website and audience can come and inquire about your service. Okay. Once the inquiry comes, then it will go to the sales team. Sales team will analyze it. They will have a call with the client. All of this, every single step needs to be noted down. Okay. That is capture your workflow. The second thing is map the flow of information. Right. This particular step is where you tell, okay, when the client comes, they are going to fill in this information. Okay. Now this information is going to the sales team. Sales team will have a call with the customer and get more information, right? What are those more information that you're looking for, right? All of that needs to be added in a Google Sheets or Excel file or any, what is it, paper, using pen, whatever it is, right? You just have to understand what is that. Because when you go to automate, you need to understand what is the flow of information, right? Then we have to identify decision points. Okay. We will come to each of this step in detail. Okay. With the example, don't worry. I'm just walking you through the 7 steps. Then we will identify decision points. Here we are identifying what is the decision making points. Okay. Let's say, for example, inquiry is coming and the client has mentioned that their budget is $1,000. Okay. Now, if we as a company do not take any projects less than $5,000, right? Then the decision point is, if project is less than $5,000, then send an email to the client. Okay. Or rather, decision is whether the project is more than 5,000 or less than 5,000. Okay. That's the decision points. Pinpoint bottlenecks. Where is it getting delayed as of today? Because the biggest pain point or biggest reason why we want to automate is to save time, reduce human errors, and to ensure things happen on a timely manner, right? So we have to make a note of what are the bottlenecks in our current process. Where are the delays happening? Where are the mistakes happening? So that when we are automating that, we can rectify them. Okay. Then we will get into triggers and actions. What is the trigger for our entire process? There could be multiple triggers and multiple actions as well, right? So when we say capture your overflow, there can be multiple steps involved. And for each of the steps, we can have different triggers. And for each of the steps, we can have different actions, multiple actions as well. And then we will go to select the right tools. Okay, based on the tools that we're using for our use case, we can select which automation platform are we going to choose, right? So that is this particular step. Finally, we will implement our automation, test it, monitor over a period of time, and then optimize it. It's not implement and forget formula here, right? Automation is all about implementation, testing, monitoring it, whether what we expected out of this automation is happening or not, right? If it's happening, great. If it's not, then we optimize. Okay, and this cycle repeats. Is everyone clear about the 7-step process for automation? Do not worry if you have not understood it in detail. We will get into detail. I just want you to understand a very short intro of the 7 steps. Okay, great. Now let's go to the next one, which is step 1. Capture your workflow. Okay, I was talking about receiving an inquiry. So what I will do is I'll capture this workflow in step by step. First step, I'm receiving an inquiry. Then the second step, we are going to add that as a lead in our CRM system. The third one is send follow-up email. Okay. And for this, we need a few things, right? Time gap from previous step, we can also mention. So receive inquiry, we don't have a time gap from previous step. It is from client or prospect. They will fill a form, right? Within 10 minutes, this needs to be added to our CRM. And within 15 minutes, we have to send a follow-up email. Now, these are what we want to follow, right? It could be anything for your business, for your, if you're a student, then for your learning purpose and so on and so forth, right? Dependencies, inquiries submitted via form. The first step. Second step, CRM login credentials needed. So if at all I have to assign this particular task to somebody, then I need CRM login credentials for that particular person so that they can enter the details from the form into the CRM. Okay. We have to make a note of everything so that our automation very simple. Third step, if you want to send an email, acknowledgement email to them, okay, it's not that you get an email and then finally you start typing. You need to have a template in place, right? What is the email that you're going to send them as an acknowledgement? Okay, so that it takes care of respecting them, the emotion and everything as your brand, as you want your brand to convey, right? All of this needs to be taken care of. So you create a template, use the same template to send to everybody. Maybe you'll change their name and a few parameters which can be dynamic. Okay. The next step is map flow of information, right? So you can see that we have had the same 3 steps. Okay. So the first step is receive inquiry. Here the responsible person is client or prospect, right? The client or the prospect will fill the form. That's when we get the information. Tools used, let's assume that it is Google Forms in this case, right? It could be any other forms, or it could also be a WhatsApp based thing, right? The information is coming. I've just given example here, right? So Google Form is the tool that we are using in this particular case. Now, data passed along, right? We are asking for the client name, we are asking for email, and what is the inquiry all about? Okay. The second step is to add these details into our CRM. Now, the responsibility of this particular action is presently held with sales team. Okay, this is an example that I am showing you here, right? The same steps you can follow in your automation. Yeah, you can mention who is the responsible person. And then tool used, let's say, see, as a CRM, we are using Google Sheets. Okay, we are going with a very simple example right now. So what we are going to do is we are going to add the name, the email, and inquiry details into the Google Sheets. Right. The third step is send follow-up email. Now this needs to be done by marketing team. Right. Tool used is Gmail. Right. Predefined email template is used to send this email along with the dynamic details like name and email. Is this clear? 2 steps are clear, everyone? Type in +2 in the chat box if you're clear with first 2 steps. We will of course see a real example. Okay, so do not worry. Great. Thank you everyone for being very, very active and responding in the chat. Okay. Now we'll go to third step, which is identify the decision points. Okay. Same 3 steps again, right? Receive inquiry, add lead to CRM, and send follow-up email. Now, decision type is logical, or emotional. Okay, there is a logic. As soon as the inquiry is received, okay, that's when we are going to do the next step, right? So can it be automated? Yes, because it is logical. Once the inquiry is received, I need to do the next step. So there is a logic to it. Likewise, we're going to add lead to the CRM, and that's when we will send a follow-up email. Okay, again, we have a logic. So all the 3 steps is logical. I'll say all the 3 steps can be automated. Now I've added a column called notes. Trigger automation based on form submission. Okay, this is what we have been discussing, right? The automation starts as soon as the form is submitted. We can do some data validation. Okay, that is, we can check if the email is correct or not, and so on and so forth. We can then add it into our CRM and then use email template with predefined triggers. Okay, I will show this example of how to automate this entire 3 steps. Okay, this steps that I'm showing you right now is for you to understand how can you start your automation journey. Yeah, I'll go to the next one, which is point number 4, and we are going to mention the bottlenecks in this particular case. Right? 1, receive inquiry. A lot of times there will be a delayed notification. Okay, because we check, Google form submission or something like that whenever we have time, or whenever we are in office, whenever we are working, and so on and so forth. Okay, so impact is very, very high. Okay, manual checks for new inquiries. Right? Root cause for the delayed notification is because we are checking it manually. Okay. Second, add lead to CRM. Errors in manual data entry. So the form is submitted, the data is, let's say, in Google Forms, right? Now we have to get that into a CRM. In this case, we have used Google Sheets as a CRM, and Google Forms has an integration with Google Sheets. Okay, but think that we have a different CRM. Okay, like Zoho or MyBooks and so on and so forth. Right? There are so many CRMs available. So let's assume that we are using something else. Then when we are copying the data from form to the CRM, there could be manual errors. And of course, delay is also there, right? Send follow-up email. Delay in sending follow-ups, right? Because manually crafted email, we have to check the form submission, and then we have to copy it, and then we have to draft the email and send, and so on and so forth. Okay. Is this clear, everyone? Until here, everybody following? Okay, great. Next one is we define what are the triggers, what are the actions. Okay. So the first one trigger is new form submission. As soon as there is a new form submission, we notify the sales team via email. Okay. So we can tell them that there is a form that is being submitted. Please do the next steps. One thing. Second, we can also send those form details to a CRM. If CRM has integration, we will come to that. What is integration? How do we find out if integrations are there and so on and so forth, right? This is one thing that we can do. Second, let's assume that the sales team is entering the data into CRM, okay, into Google Sheets. Then when the new row has been added to the sheet, that becomes the trigger, right? The action is validate data and update CRM. Okay. Again, we can use Google Sheets or Airtable, right? Any of those as our CRM. Send follow-up email. When the new row has been added to CRM, okay, predefined email needs to be sent to client with dynamic parameters like name, email address, and so on and so forth. Okay. The next step, very, very important thing, is to understand which tool are we going to use, right? There are multiple automation tools that can be used. Okay. Most commonly used are Make, Zapier, Pabbly Connect. Right? There are at least 20, 25 such tools available in the market, which I know. I'm sure there are much more than that. Right? So we have to understand which tool to use. And why is this important? Because you do not want to be subscribing to each tool, right? You want to subscribe to one tool which can cater to a lot of your automation, if not all. Yeah. So firstly, receive inquiry, which is Google Forms. Okay? And action tool here is Gmail. Okay. And Gmail. No, this is wrong. So this should have been Google Sheets. Okay. So we can use Zapier. Zapier has integration with Google Forms and also Google Sheets, right? Add lead to CRM. So from Google Sheets, we are sending it to Airtable. Okay. We can use Pabbly Connect. Again, Zapier also has both of this integration, which is Google Sheets and Airtable. The only reason I've added automation tool here as Pabbly Connect is to tell you that there are multiple tools available. Okay, we can use the same tool. And in the example that we are going to showcase today, we are going to use make.com. Okay. This is a step-by-step process of how do you identify what are the steps involved in your current process and how do you ensure what needs to be automated and go about doing it. Okay. Finally, send follow-up email. When there is a trigger tool is Airtable. Whenever there is a new row added in Airtable, we are going to send an email using Gmail. Okay. And again, we can use Zapier, Make, or Pabbly Connect for any of these three things. Okay. This is select the right tools. There are some of the platforms which are only integrated in Zapier. There are some of the platforms which is probably only integrated with Pabbly Connect. There are some platforms which is probably integrated only with Make, or maybe it is much easier. Okay, that's why selecting which tool is a very important step. Finally, we have to implement and refine. Okay, so if you're all ready, then we will check out the platforms and then get started with automation using Make. Are you all ready? Is all the 7 steps clear? Okay, great. Now, the platforms are Zapier.com, right? Do not worry if you don't know what these platforms are and so on and so forth, right? Just understand that these platforms exist. Okay. These platforms allow you to create automation without writing a single line of code, right? And then there is Pabbly Connect. Okay. This particular thing. And then there is Make. Make is the platform that we are going to use for today's automation. Okay. So it is called make.com. Yeah. So let's create a very simple Google Forms and you will understand the automation. Now, the first automation that we are going to do is creating a Google form. Okay, it could be for event registration. It could be for your hiring process. It could be any use case where you want somebody to fill a form, right? And you want to send them an automated email, or that information needs to be collected, and you want to do certain actions on top of it. Okay, are you clear with the use case that we are trying to solve here? Yeah. So Google form is filled, and we are sending an automated email. Very, very simple thing. Okay. Yes. All the 3 platforms can be used in the free version. Okay. Whereas Zapier has a very limited features in the free plan, but Make and Pabbly Connect, you get a lot of features even in the free plan. Okay. So nothing to worry about there as well. So I'm going to create a new form. right? Google form. So let's make it as Outskill registration. Oh. Now, I believe most of you, I mean, all of you have filled a form before you attended this webinar, right? Everybody? Yes? Once you filled the form, you would have got an acknowledgement email, right? And maybe you also got some follow-up emails and all. Do you think that there is somebody who is sitting and sending these emails to you? 5,000 plus people. And this happens like every week with Outscale, right? So they cannot have somebody sit and send emails to everybody who registers for this event. There needs to be some automation, right? So that's precisely what we are going to cover today. Okay. Understand how this works behind the scenes without writing a single line of code. Okay. So you can give a form description here, like 2 days workshop on code and AI, right? Whatever it is. First question is name. Okay. I'm going to change this to short answer. I'm just doing a Google form here, right? Nothing fancy. I'm going to ask them for an email address. Again, I'm going to make this as a short. Okay, it's already a short answer. I'll make this as required. I'll also make this as a required field, right? The third one we can mention, like, where did you hear about us? Okay, it could be YouTube, let's say Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, influencers, influencer program, or whatever it is. Okay, very simple. Name, email, and where did you hear about us? Okay, only 3 questions. Now we'll go to settings and make sure that everybody can respond to it. Of course, I'm not going to do. I generally ask users to fill the form, but with 5,000 people, we do not want to do that now. Yeah. So we'll click on publish, and it asks who can fill this form. Because I'm creating this from our official account, it's showing by default anybody in Red 7. So I'll click on manage, and I'll just say anyone with the link. Okay, it doesn't matter. You can use any form. Okay, I'll click on publish. What this does is I can actually fill a form, right? I'll copy the link of the form, and you would have received a form similar to this when you registered for Outscale. Okay, it need not be Google form. It could be any other form, right? Where we will, what is it? Fill in our information. So I'm going to fill my information here. Let's say ABCD grade7.com, right? And I'll put it as YouTube. I'm going to submit this. I have now filled the form and submitted. So I've got one response here. Google Forms has integration with Google Sheets within. So I can just click on link to Sheets, create a new sheet, and I will name this as Outscale. Click on create. So now a Google form is open, okay, with the timestamp when I registered, the name, the email address, and where did you hear about us in one particular row. Until here, are you able to follow? Okay, there is somebody else also who registered. Okay, now this is the trigger that the user has filled a form. Now the next step that we have to do is send an email to them. Okay, that will be action. So let's see how this can be done using platforms like Make. I'm going to click on create new scene. When you register on the platform and create your new account, you'll be taken to this particular screen, which is my organization, which is like a dashboard. Because I've already done some automations and stuff like that, you can see some graphs. Okay, do not worry about it. You can click on create new scenario. Okay, it will take you to a blank page with this huge plus button. It's asking you which platform do you want to connect. Now, because we have got the data into Google Sheets already, okay, we will be using Google Sheets as our trigger point. Okay, so when you click on this plus, it will show you platforms. Okay, you can also search over here. So for example, if you want Slack, right? You can search and find that. If you want Outlook, right? You have it over here, Microsoft 365 email, right? Likewise, if you want, let's say LinkedIn, then you have that. So you will have to check if this integration, whatever platform you're looking at, okay, if that integration is available or not. Only if integration is available, you'll be able to do that automation. Okay. Now we will go with Google Sheets. So I'll click on that particular tool. Now it's asking us, okay, the tool is asking us, what do you want to do in this automation, right? What we want is to watch for trigger, which is adding new rows. Our automation is all about when a new row has been added, we need to send an email to them. So once I select the tool, we will have all the options available from that tool. Okay. So the first one is watch new rows, which means the platform will keep watching for new rows that has been added into Google Sheets so that it can send the emails to respective users who have filled the form. So I click on watch new rows, right? So that is our trigger now. Okay. So here, now because this is happening on Google account, right? Make needs to have access to our Google account. Otherwise, how will it automate? Right? Are you understanding why we need to give access to our Google account to Make? Yeah. It's as simple as it is. If you want a maid to come to your house and clean the house, they need to have access to your house. Right? Likewise, if Make has to do some automation with regards to our Google account, which is to read the data which is coming into our Google Sheets, we need to give access to our Google account. Okay. And the way we do that is click on this add. Okay. You can give any name to this. Let's say Outskill demo. Right. And click on sign in with Google. This you would have done on multiple platforms. Right. So just do the same thing. Select the account that you want to log in into. Okay. Which is where your Google Sheets is and from where Make will read the data. So I'll select this one and I'll click on continue. Now, Google is telling us that Make wants to access your Google account and Make has, if you give permission, then Make will be able to see the data, edit the data, create new data, and delete all of your Google Drive files. Okay. Now, if you read this, it sounds scary. Okay, because it will be able to delete all of your Google files. But it will not do until unless you do the automation in a way where it deletes the files. Okay. These are platforms which are being used by multinational companies, right? Big companies are using these platforms. So the data is very, very safe. Do not worry about that, right? Along with it, it can also see, edit, create, and delete all of your Google Sheets spreadsheets, right? These are the accesses that Make wants if we want to automate. So I'll click on allow. It's safe. Okay. Now the account has been connected. Okay. Our Google account has been created to connected to Make. Now we have to tell which particular Google Sheets should it read, right? Now there are multiple ways by which we can tell which Google Sheets. One is search by path. Okay. The second one is select from all. So if you select from all, then you'll be able to put spreadsheet ID from here. Okay. And spreadsheet ID is nothing but if you go to your Google Sheets, this is your spreadsheet ID. Okay. Anything that follows after the slash. So I'm going to take this until /edit, right? This is the spreadsheet ID. I'm going to copy that, come back here, add spreadsheet ID. Okay. It has already got, which is the sheet. Now sheet name. You can see it has automatically fetched the sheet names from this particular sheet. Okay. Which is form responses 1. So I'm going to select that sheet name from here. It's asking us whether this particular sheet has headers in it, right? So we have headers available here. Okay. So I'm going back and I'll leave it as yes, because headers are available in this particular Google Sheets. Now it's asking us, what is the rows with the headers? Okay. So the row that we have with header is A1 to D1, right? A1 until D1. This is what has headers. So I'm going to just change this from A1 to Z1 to A1 to D1. Okay. We will come to this limit, which is marked as 2 a bit later. Okay. Ignore this for now. Did you understand so far what we have done? We have just connected our Google account to Make, where Make has access to control our Google account, okay, especially the Google Drive and spreadsheets. Then we told which is the spreadsheet that we want Make to operate on. We selected the sheet name. We told we have headers. We also mentioned that we have what is the row with headers, which is A1 to D1. Okay, I'll click on save. Now it's asking us on which record do you want to operate on. Okay, so we have 2 records. This is just for testing purpose, right? I'll mention choose manual. And I will select this particular record. Click on save. This is just for our testing purpose, right? Because if we have to do automation, we have to test whether it is working fine. So I will take the first row for now, right? The next step, what is the next step that we have to do? What is the next step that we have to do? Send email, which is the action, right? And we're going to use Gmail for this. It could be Outlook also. Yeah, because a lot of us use Gmail. I'm just using Gmail as example, right? So I will, when I click on plus, it will show us all the tools available. So I'm going to search for Gmail, and then we have Gmail here, and it gives us some commonly used actions like send an email, move an email, copy an email, and so on and so forth. If the action that you're looking at is already available, click on that. If not, click on this show more. You can see all the other possible actions. Copy an email is one of the actions, right? Then we have create a draft, delete an email, okay? Mark an email as read, mark an email as unread, right? We have move an email. We have iterate attachments, and so on and so forth. Now, when we were giving access to Google Sheets, okay, it had mentioned that it can delete our files, okay? It has only taken the permission to delete. But unless and until we have an action which is like delete an email or something like that, it will not delete. It will not do anything that we have not asked it to do. Okay. So just be careful when you're doing this automation, not to use things like delete or something like that, unless and until you clearly know what you're deleting and you want that to be deleted. Okay. Now, in our case, we want to send an email. So I'm going to select this. The same steps, right? I have to connect my account. So I'll click on add. I'll give Outsfill Gmail demo. I'll click on sign in with Google. The same thing. It'll ask me which account do you want to connect. I'll use this one. I'll click on continue. Then it will tell what are the permissions that it wants, right? So it wants to be able to read, compose, send, and permanently delete all your email from Gmail. Okay, these are the permissions that we're giving, right? I'll click on allow. Now tell me, if we have to send an email to somebody, what is the most important thing that we need? Email ID, right? And we've got the email ID from the user from the form. So they fill the form and that details is there in our Google Sheets. Okay. And that Google Sheet information has come in step 1. Okay. We have to use that over here. So we have to, I'll click on add a recipient and it will ask us for the email ID. The moment I click on this particular field, it will give us all the information that is available from step 1. Okay. You can see that this particular, tool is green in color, and you can see all the variables that we have from step 1 are green in color. Okay. And email is available over here. So I'll click on this one. The moment I click, it is coming over here, which means email field has been connected to this particular field. Okay. So from this step, we have used email over here. Now subject. Okay. Let's say we are sending an acknowledgement for your form submission. I'm just adding a very simple subject over here. Now we want to send the content, which is the body of the email. Okay, which is the body of the email. So I'm going to add hello space. Here will be the name, which is a dynamic value. We'll come to it. I'll add a comma. Next line. Thank you for submitting the form. We will get in touch with you. Start anything, right? I just want to add some sample email body. This is the template that I was talking to you about, right? Create a template so that you can copy paste over here, and that will be sent to everybody. The only change that happens over here is this name, right? We'll also add a signature. That's Ritesh. Yeah. The only change that happens is the name here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that particular name that I added. And the name is also coming from step 1, right? So I'll click on the name field here. Okay, of course, I have to remove this one. So it is like, hello, whatever is the name. In my case, it is Ritesh Hegde. So it will be like, hello, Ritesh Hegde. Thank you for submitting the form. We will get in touch with you shortly. Okay, regards, Ritesh. Once this is done, I'll click on save. Okay. And then I'll click on save here, which means the entire scenario that we created has got saved now. Okay. I'll click on run once. Okay. So what happened was this ran once. It fetched 2 records and 2 emails have been sent to users from Gmail. So let me go to my Gmail account. I'm going to send items. So 1 email was sent to me, okay, with the subject as acknowledgement for your form submission, and it was sent to abcd@hit7.com. Okay, that's exactly what I had filled over here. Thank you, Siddharth, whoever filled this, so that I could show the second thing also, right? So the second email is over here, which was sent to the second user with the name being changed. Hello, Siddharth. Right? Now this automation is ready. Did we write any line of code here? Did we write any code here? We have already finished setting up the automation for sending an email when user fills in the form. It's this simple. You just have to connect your accounts, okay? Give the information that it is looking for and connect the platforms. That's all. Okay? Please do not try it, guys. Please do not try. You can try it later. Yeah, concentrate here. Now, the only step that we have.
Ritesh, just to add 2 points, right? Folks, so
Yeah.
if you're using your personal Gmail ID to connect it to make.com, you need to follow an additional validation step, right? So we will be helping you with the step-by-step process of using your personal accounts as well so that you can pass the validation. Secondly, some people on Discord are asking, where is AI in this, right? So what we have done for this particular session is we have taken a very simple use case to help you get accustomed to make.com and to the automation setup. In this scenario itself, you could add AI. And when you add AI, what could essentially happen is whenever someone fills a form, you can send a personalized email to them because AI will write that email. But we are not showing that yet. In the next example that we show, we will use AI as well, right? And Ritesh will show that to you. So I hope this clarifies. For people who are trying it right now, I would recommend please don't try it. You will miss out on the steps. So understand the process completely. Use our resources that we will be sharing towards the end to make your own automations, right? Is the pace going well, everyone? Drop in a yes if you are following along and if you are able to grasp what is wonderful. Great. We can move on, Ritesh. Just wanted to clarify that for everyone.
Great. So one last step that we have to do is to enable this automation. Right now we have set up everything is ready, but we have to enable it. Now, once you click on enable, right, we have run scenario at regular intervals. If you select regular interval, then you have to select what is the minutes. How often do you want this to run? Every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, every 1 hour, every 2 hours, and so on and so forth. Okay. Or you can also run it once, which means you enable it, it will run once and done. Okay. Every day. You also have an option of every day, which means it will run every day on a select time that you select. Days of the week, days of the month, and so on and so forth. Now, generally, we want to run it at a regular interval because every time a form is filled, you want this to run, right? In the free plan, the minimum interval is 15 minutes. If you take the paid plan, right, then you can go all the way until 1 minute, which means the form is filled. Within 1 minute, you can do your automation. Okay. So I'll keep it 15 minutes for now. Right. I'll click on save. The automation is ready. Now, if there is any form that is getting filled within 15 minutes, the next step will follow, which is sending an acknowledgement email. Okay. Now, I told you one thing we will come to at a bit later, that is the limit, right? What does this limit mean? Every 15 minutes, when the Make platform is reading the Google Sheets, it will fetch only 2 records, right? So if you saw here, it actually ran once. So here you can see one number being shown over here, right? Which means it has run once, but it has fetched 2 records. Okay. Luckily, we had 2 records. Now there is a third person who has filled it. So you should also get that email like within 15 minutes. Okay. It'll fetch 2 records. If you want more records to be fetched every time this is run, okay, then you can increase this limit, right? So let's say 10. Now what happens is when it is running the next time, if there are 10 records, it will fetch. If there are more than 10 records, then it will fetch the 10 records now. And in the next iteration, that is after 15 minutes again, it will fetch the next 10 records. Okay. So you can play around with this particular limit based on your requirement. Okay. Is this clear, everyone? Can we go on to interesting AI-based automation? Yeah, I know pace is a bit slow and we are doing it deliberately because we want everybody to follow along, right? So please excuse us for that. Okay, now again, I'll go back to scenarios or organization. Oh, I had not made change. I'll click on save changes. I changed from 2 to 10 and after that I had not clicked on save. Okay. Now again, we are going to create a new scenario. And this time what we're going to do is, how many of you want to be active on social media, but I mean, when I say active, you want to create content on social media, but you are not able to because of like, you don't know what to post, what will people think and all of that. Right? So many of you. Yeah. So today we are going to look at a very simple example of how do we create an image-based post using OpenAI, and then we will post that on Instagram. Everything completely automated, right? So the first step is to create an image using OpenAI. Okay, so when I click on this, the platform is already available. If it's not available, then I would have searched from here. Okay, so I'll click on this one. It'll ask what is that you want to do with OpenAI. Okay, we want to generate an image. So I'll select this particular step. Same process, right? We have to click on add. Then it will ask us. So the way we connect our OpenAI account on any of these platforms is we have to give API key and organization ID. Okay, it's not like how we connected Google accounts. We need to have an API key and organization ID. Please make a note that you need to have credits onto your OpenAI account. Okay, it is not your ChatGPT Plus or Pro or whatever it is. You need to add amount or credits into your OpenAI account. Okay, that's when you can use these things. So let me go ahead and fetch the keys. I'll also show you how and where to fetch it.
And as Ritesh is getting the API key, we very briefly spoke about APIs and what they do yesterday in the session. How many of you remember what APIs are? Can you all define what an API does on the chat box? I want to see how many of you remember this from yesterday's session. Yes, we gave a waiter example, but can someone describe what an API essentially does? We gave the waiter example. Yes, good. Yes, it's like a middleman. Wonderful. It connects 2 different applications. It's a connector. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Can you see OpenAI window?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So if you go to platform.openai.com/API keys, okay, that's where you can create your API key. So I'll click on this one. I'll name it as Outskin demo and click on create secret key. Sometimes this project will not be selected. If it's not selected, just select default project. Okay, and click on create secret key. It will generate a secret key, which I'm copying. Okay, and I'll go back to make API key is this one. I've entered it over here. And then we have to go to organization. Okay. And organization ID needs to be copied from here. Okay. Which is in general. And I will paste that over here. Once we click, give these two informations. Okay. We are giving make.com permission to access our OpenAI account. Okay. Now, if you already know about AI, then you might already know about models. There are different models available, right? And for generating image on OpenAI, there are two models available as of now. Okay, DALL-E 2 and DALL-E 3. DALL-E 3 is the latest one, okay, which is available via APIs. So we will use that for generating our image today, right? So let's try creating a meme. Okay, generate a meme image on, let's say, politics. Okay, which I will be sharing on Instagram. I'll click on save. Okay, so the image generation part is done. What is the next step? Yeah, connect our Instagram account, post it on Instagram. So what I'm going to do is click on this plus and then search for Instagram, right? Instagram, for some reasons, will allow you to do this automation only if you have an Instagram for business account, right? So I'll click on this show more, and then we want to create a photo post. I'll select that. Again, I have to connect my account, which I've already connected. So I'll not go through that step again. I have two pages linked to this particular account. Okay, License Club and Red7. So I'll go with Red7. The photo URL is coming from step 1. I'll click on data. I'll click on URL. Okay, URL is where the data, that is the image, is available. So I'll say that is the image, and we have to give a caption, right? So I'm giving it as testing meme automation. I'll click on save. Automation is ready. Let me click on run once. Instagram for business, Facebook login. Okay, what is the issue here? This error automatically. Oh, maybe because I mentioned meme and politics. Maybe it's. Let's try to generate an inspirational quote post that I will share on Instagram. Okay, I'll click on run once. Let's see if this generates. OpenAI doesn't want to get into political wars, so it straight away rejected our prompt. Yeah. So you can see that this is one, which means it has generated one image, and that image has been posted to Instagram. So I will show you this particular thing on my Instagram account. Okay, so there you go. So believe in yourself and you be halfway there. And this was posted 16 seconds ago. Yeah. I open this. Where is this? You can see testing meme automation is the caption. Okay. I'll delete this for now. We want a proper caption to be added. So what we will do is I'll just push this a bit far. I'll right click on this particular line and I'll say unlink. We will use one more step here to generate a caption, okay, based on the image that has got generated. We'll add one more module. Again, we are going to use OpenAI, okay, and we have something called analyze images, right? So select this. Again, my account is already linked, so I'm not going to add it again. Prompt is analyze the input image and give me a caption that I can use for my Instagram post. Now I'm also adding a note here because generally when we ask OpenAI something, it adds a few additional sentences like here is the caption for you, right? So I'm adding this negative prompt. Okay. Do not include anything else apart from the caption so that I can use it directly without any editing required. Okay. So I've added the prompt. It's asking us which model we can go with 4O, right? They have maximum completion tokens. I'll leave it as default. Click on save. Okay, what is here? Oh, yeah, I didn't give the image at all. So image URL is basically this one, which is data URL. I'll click on save. And now I'll click on this plus and drag it until here, which connects the dot. Right. If this dot is not connected, then it will not go to the next step. Okay. I'll click on run once. So the image is getting generated right now. You can see here. So one done. It is analyzing. It's done. Now it is posting on Instagram. And that's done as well. So let's go back to Instagram. I'll refresh. And you see. Oh. Okay. So every morning we are born again. What do you do today matters most. Sometimes it can do something like this. Okay, that's AI. But we can see. Oh, sorry, we didn't change the caption. Let me do that real quick. So I'll go back to this one. I'll change the caption, and the caption will be coming from step 2, which is this one. Okay, and result. Okay, this is step 1 from where we are getting the image. Step 2 is analyzing the image and giving us a caption so that we can use it. So I'll use that caption over here. Click on save. Click on run once. It will generate the image again. It will analyze the image, generate a caption that gets posted on Instagram. Let's see if that is happening. So let me delete this again. It should be done. Yeah. So let me refresh. The best view, the hardest climb. The best view comes with the hardest climb, maybe, right? And you can see chasing sunsets and dreams, inspiration, sunset views. Oh, people are really fast here. They already started liking it. I know. Okay, great. So spelling mistakes are there, I believe, with their latest model where APIs are not yet enabled. Okay, the spelling mistakes will go off. Okay, if you know any other platforms which has better image generation, you can use it. The idea is for you to understand, okay, how automation can be done. Is this clear? Everybody enjoyed this process of generating image without writing code and automatically posting it on Instagram?
Wonderful. Now, Ritesh, I'll just connect, few dots for all of them,
Sure.
right? Since you're doing
Sure.
it for the very first time, folks. So in the OpenAI modules here, you saw that Ritesh went ahead and put a simple prompt. He probably used 4 to 5 words to create the prompt, right? And we saw that because the focus here was to teach you the automation workflow. But how is it that we can create prompts? You learned that in the previous session today. Can all of you tell me on the chat, how will you create a prompt for something like this? Will you go ahead and write a simple yes? You will use GPT to create a system prompt in the markdown format, right? Once you create a system prompt in a markdown format, you will automatically see that the captions are much better and the images are also much better. We didn't want to show that workflow to you because when we end up doing that, we realize that it confuses a lot of people. But the prompt is the heart and soul of this, right? Whenever you're using an OpenAI module. So make sure that your prompts are very well defined as you implement these for actual business use cases. I hope that's clear. Drop in the word clear if you are clear. And if you're wondering why didn't we use the latest image model that GPT launched, which is able to create a lot of Ghibli images, which is able to create text inside images and all of that, the API of that particular model is not available right now as of today. If it was available, we would have certainly used that and gotten a very good image as well. We'll do a recap, don't worry. And there are resources with step-by-step instructions coming your way. So you will be able to do that as well. But Ritesh, I think, these are the two use cases that we wanted to show them, right?
Yeah.
Wonderful. I would also want you to give them a glimpse of how our business is actually incorporating this. If you could give them a high-level sense of how can, or where can automations essentially be used?
Yeah, sure. So I'll again give a very simple example so that you can relate to it, right? So one of the automation that we've done for is for our own use case. Okay, when we developed like 25 odd plugins. Okay, think of it like Chrome extensions, right, for a particular platform, and our developers were creating videos for how to use those plugins, right? And so developer came to me and said, "Hey Ritesh, you know what? I can create these videos and all, but to upload it on YouTube, we need to give a title, we need to give description, we need to give this tags. So many other fields are there. Okay, I don't understand what needs to be given there. Okay, what to do about it?" So I told him, "Don't worry, you put all the videos into Google Drive." I gave him a drive. I told you put all the videos into that drive, right? And I created automation where once the video is uploaded, so the trigger is when a new file is added into Google Drive folder. Okay, and the action was to analyze that video, okay, as to what is explained in the video, create a title for it, create a description, create a tags for it, and then automatically upload all of this along with the video into YouTube. Right? So developer didn't have to do anything. He just had to create those video of how to use that plugins that he had created and put it into Drive. And everything else was happening automatically. Right? This is one very simple use case. Otherwise, we have to spend about 15-20 minutes for each video to understand what it is, and so on and so forth. Right? Now we have created probably around 150 plus videos on plugins. So imagine the amount of time we would have spent to create title, description, tags, and all of that. Right? So we saved so much more time. And even if I had asked a writer to come up with that, right, he had to spend time watching the video to understand what it is. And even then, probably he wouldn't understand because he's not a technical writer or so. He was a social media guy, right? So he wouldn't understand about the technicalities of the plugins and stuff like that, right? That's first use case. Second use case, which I really love to share always, is because this particular business owner came out of his this business completely, right? So this client was from Singapore, and their number plate market is crazy, right? Like you can buy number plates with any design that you want and stuff like that. Okay, and they sell number plates, right? So he is actually into car dealership. Okay, but he also got into this number plate thing because he saw that a lot of people would come reach out to him and say, "Do you have some fancy numbers and do you have number plates?" and so on and so forth. So he thought, okay, why not collaborate with somebody who can manufacture the number plate and then get that service for his customers. So he added a form onto his website where people could order number plates, right? Now, what used to happen before we did this automation is, as and when the form is filled, there needs to be somebody who needs to understand the details and then send only the details that the manufacturer requires. So they would also enter their details like their name, their email address, their mobile number, okay, along with what is the number plate that they're looking at, okay, what is the number that needs to be added on the number plate and what material and so on and so forth, right? Now, this client of mine didn't want the user details like name, email address, and phone number to go to the manufacturer, right? They wanted only the number plate details, like what is the number plate material to be used, what number to be printed, and so on and so forth, to the manufacturer so that they can manufacture it, right? Now, if there is nobody who is watching this form submission, then the details that is going out to the manufacturer will be delayed. Now, what we did is we did this automation where as soon as the form is filled, only the required details, right, is going out to the manufacturer via email. Okay, it's just as simple as the form submission example that we saw, right? And he had an agreement with the manufacturer that the number plate needs to reach his shop, okay, in like 3 or 4 days. Now, after 4 days, we would send an automated email to the client saying your number plate is ready, please come and collect. So what ended up happening is for this particular, area of their business, none were involved at all. The user would come, fill the form for the number plate. Automatically, it used to go to the manufacturer. Manufacturer would, manufacture the number plate. It used to reach the shop. The user would come to the shop, collect the number plate, and go off.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, folks, as you think of it, right, what we tried to show you in this mastermind about automations, you might have only seen a couple of modules being used in the automation. But if you actually think about the business applications of automations, right, you can create n number of such modules, connect your CRMs. And when I say CRM, I'm sure you're using a CRM for your emails, for your sales, for your marketing, etc. Platforms like Zoho, Salesforce, Lead Squared, etc. are all CRM platforms that we essentially use, right? You can use those CRMs, connect them to LLMs like OpenAI or even Claude or even Perplexity and all of that, and get these LLMs to do a lot of thinking, a lot of action for you, and you can have the final outputs as well. Just to talk about one use case that we have been able to solve. In fact, we have set up multiple automations, like Ritesh mentioned. All of the comms that all of you have been receiving, the communications, be it on WhatsApp, be it on email, if you're thinking that there is somebody sending it manually, absolutely not. I'll tell you one other interesting automation that we have kind of used, right? So we are a team of 150 people and we hire people often, right? And usually our HR team was a 10 to 12 people team, because all of the applications that essentially come in terms of the job applications that we receive from LinkedIn and other sources, we had to manually vet all of these job applications. But today we have set up a system where AI goes through the applications that have come in already, all automated. It ranks people based on the skills that they have given in their resumes or in their LinkedIn profile. So there is a two-step verification that is happening, one on the resume that is provided and on the LinkedIn profile as well. And it gives us a final list of candidates. So out of 100 applications that we get, we are able to come down to around 5 to 7 applications that we really want to talk to. And that has streamlined our entire recruitment process like crazy. Now, in this session, as all of you fill up the Q&A form as well, we covered two parts. One was the logical part of it, and the other one was to use the tool to create the automation. Now, on the Zoom chat, I saw a lot of people asking, hey, in this social media automation, can we have a step wherein we can check the image before it kind of goes ahead and puts it out, right? Absolutely, yes, you can do that. AI will create the image for you. It can put it on a Google Drive where you can go ahead and approve the images that it is essentially storing. And once you approve, only then it will go ahead and post that on Instagram. So all these platforms have made it very, very flexible for us to think about all of the nuanced use cases as well to be able to generate our automations. And people who are asking, because you learned custom GPTs in the previous session, you're asking, hey, can I put up custom GPT in my automation workflow? Absolutely, yes. Can you put voice agents? Absolutely, yes. In fact, what happens in our sales funnel at Outskill is we generate a lot of leads through paid marketing, of course, from sources like Facebook. Again, OpenAI kind of goes through all of the profiles, does a qualification. There is a voice agent that we have linked in this particular automation. The voice agent, based on the qualification score of the lead, calls up and talks, right, in our own voices, because we have been able to train the voice models also. So as all of you go deeper into AI agents and automations, you will be able to do a bunch of these things. But I want to ask all of you, has this session opened up the thinking process in your mind in terms of how you can go about creating your automations? Is that a yes from everyone? I hope it has opened up that thinking process for all of you. While some people said that, hey, this is something that I've done always. Well, people who have gotten exposure to automations, great. You can go ahead and explore much more, right? But this session was primarily for those people who never had an idea that something like this could be done. Wonderful. Let's say if we have 100 posts created already, if we put all of them in a Google Drive, can we automate similarly to post one post every day? Absolutely, yes, Varun, you can do that. But let me go ahead and look at the questions that have come in on the form that I've shared. Wow. There are almost 100 questions that have come in so far. So I'm going to do something very similar to what Webhub did in the previous session, which is to use ChatGPT to essentially summarize all of these questions, right? Those of you who are asking for a break after this Q&A, we will give you the break so that you can get a quick refresher. And after the break, we have a bunch of other interesting things coming up. But let me go ahead, summarize these questions. And Ritesh, as I summarize them, if you have any advice for people, because
it was 2020 when I started 2019 is when I started my agency, and 2020 is when I thought of hiring a few people to add on to the agency. And what happened was, because of pandemic, a lot of people were losing jobs, right? And one single post on LinkedIn would get you 100 profiles, right? Yes. Which used to happen
When you write that down, you will also understand where
in platforms like Zapier. Okay, headaches.
absolutely. So we have a bunch of questions that have come in, Ritesh. I'll just quickly share my screen. Yeah, give me 1 second. So I've summarized all the questions using ChatGPT and a few integrations on. Wonderful. Let's get used.
So automation within the platform, not like you do it and then you forget it. Automation or any portals that we build, limitations are with regards
AI tools and automations